Right, what's good, everybody? Yo, 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 Joey J. Ping checking in live, man. RespectMyRegion.com. We're here today on another episode of the Cannabis Retail Podcast. Journey today brought to you guys by Sparks Can. I've got my co-host and my partner in crime for all things marketing, cannabis marketplaces. We've got Kevin Sparks here. How you living, Kevin?
Doing great. Ready for the summer.
Come on, man. We're getting close. We were just talking about how 420 just came to an end. There was a huge week. It was an Easter Sunday. There's always a dip the day after and probably for a couple of days post-holiday, post-long weekends. But you don't really get downtime, Kevin. We're straight into the swing of things. It's Cinco de Mayo week. Anywhere where there's a strong population of young people or even a diverse population, we're going to be celebrating that to some degree. I'm excited to chat about that. And then also, too, we've got the rest of the spring and summer approaching. And we're going to talk about how to capitalize on those kind of things. And so first and foremost, Kevin, how was your 420? How did things go for you and your partners?
Yeah, 420 was a whole lot of kind of stress and work leading up to it as usual. But then I feel like we had a really smooth actual 420 the week of that. Friday, Saturday, Sunday was just incredible. I mean, Friday seemed to be the big day for everybody. Everyone was preparing for the weekend. Everyone was going to hang out with their family actually on Sunday. Sunday, actual 420 still went really well. And then as expected, that Monday was a bit of a dip, but it's weird. I mean, I kind of went into this week telling everyone, like, just be ready for that Monday and prepare as much as you can so you don't just gain a bunch of revenue the days leading up to it and then you lose all of it in the back end. And I think we had the best 421 for most of our clients that we've ever had. So it's definitely something you can alleviate that pain for the day after and still have sales coming in. Cause I mean, we were talking about it right before we started here, but so many people forget about the time directly after 420 and then the weeks after it as well and leading into summer. But I mean, overall, we just had a very fun 420. Personally, I was able to just hang out with family and relax, and we didn't have too many fires to put out, which is always super nice because I know sometimes it can be a little bit of a stress ball for everybody.
I saw, this is a tangent, but it makes me think you got all these clients. It's a major holiday. Historically, there's like a variety of point of sale issues or even internet down. It's just usual business stuff at this point, right? And I was watching this video the other day, and it was this guy. He was at dinner with his family, right? And he got a call, and he's the certified alligator trapper in the area. Big, huge alligator crossing the freeway. That's a different kind of fire to put out on the Easter Sunday. So if you didn't have that level of stress where you got a big crocodile trying to eat your ass or eat your car crossing the freeway, man.
That's very true, man.
It's funny because, you talk about Friday, you talk about Saturday, all that whole week, people were prepping. In the past, if you could get a major holiday weekend like that in the culture, right? Whether it's cannabis or whether it's just a major, like Black Friday is Thanksgiving is a whole thing now, right? It can become a multi-day, multifaceted approach. What 100%. Were some of the things that you were really coaching or imploring your partners to execute upon, whether it was on Weedmaps or Leafly or just a cohesive communication of deals and available offerings? What were some of those things you were kind of coaching and trying to get them to all do and participate on going into this last week?
Yeah, I mean, it's something we really coach day in, day out, but even more so when we know there's going to be a huge influx of traffic coming to the platform is making sure that, I mean, I think pretty much everyone has some form of a promotion going on during these holidays. The biggest thing that we coach to everyone is make sure that we have, you can still do the types of promotions that work great for in-store or if you're a delivery, but always be cognizant of the promotions that we need to put out there specifically for these marketplaces. So for a lot of our clients, they would kind of come to us, here's what we're thinking, here's the promotions we have, and we would give an audit to those promotions and say, here's what we're missing. We need a few more percentage or dollar offs for the Weedmaps. We need a few more BOGOs or bundles for Leafly, and just make sure we have a nice, well-rounded approach to the promotions. And then partially what will help out with in those scenarios is like, now how do we make sure that all these deals can work together? Because that's where it can be kind
Hmm.
of a curveball. Oh, we need these other types of promotions to be added in, but those don't necessarily work with what we're running in-house. And so that's, what we can do is we can make sure that the deals aren't stacking, that they work across the POS system as well as these marketplaces through the integrations. I think that's one of the most important things to take care of entering into these holidays, because you have to think about the user, you have to think about the experience. If you're going to be offering some type of promotion that works great for in-house, a lot of BOGOs, um, but on these marketplaces, it takes a whole lot of education awareness for these users to understand what the deal is and to actually redeem it.
Hmm.
When these users are going to be searching across a whole bunch of your competitors, looking for the best deals, the best offerings, you need to make sure that you can communicate it to them very concisely, quickly, and then for them to be able to add it to the cart, redeem it in just a couple clicks. Like if you can take care of all those things, then make sure the graphics as well just can educate the users on what's going on very quickly, because you really only have a couple seconds of these guys'
Yeah.
attention.
We were talking on the last episode. Remember how you were, and we did a post about it as well, about how a color can really help help a
Yeah.
brand become identifiable through consistency,
Yep.
differentiation, um,
Yeah.
and then also to the proper deals. It's a balance of branding, color standing out, but then also too, as you said, filling in the right gaps and having that cohesion. I think it's really
Yeah.
important too. You talked about just here now about how the deals need to I'll kind of like paraphrase, but they need to flow through the point of sale through these marketplaces,
Yeah.
and or reverse through the point of sale in terms of like
Yeah.
bud tenders being able to enter things in, and pick up codes and delivery things. And can you talk
Oh,
about
yeah.
how important those things are to have that all be fluid?
Yeah, I mean, these marketplaces represent a substantial amount of revenue coming in, but it's still only a percentage of your total sales. So these
Mm.
bud tenders, they need support when they're dealing with lines out the door and they're not sure how they're going to get through everything. The last thing they need is these additional marketplace orders to be coming in, where they have to edit every order and contact everyone because all the orders coming in have some error within the pricing, or it needs to
Oh,
be adjusted.
yeah,
Like that's the last thing any of these retailers really want. So it's so important just to make sure, yeah, that you can eliminate any additional work or as much additional work as possible for these bud tenders, so that they can be fast, get people in and out of the location, not have to worry about all that kind of additional work.
yeah.
Like, yeah,
I mean, the goal on those days is to maximize profit, because those days are specific about buying weed to go celebrate, to go be with your friends, to go be social, or to be
yeah,
private and just enjoy and partake through how your normal use, right? And
yeah,
if there's something that makes one of those transactions go into the 3 minute, 5 minute, 7 minute, 35 minute worth of downtime for a bud tender, that
yeah,
is a lot. That's a lot of potential loss of income on a particularly long day, creating then
yeah,
traffic in the store, a little
yeah,
bottleneck, and an overall loss through the
exactly.
end of the day. Now, you're not going to
Yeah,
lose money on those days by being kind of slower on some of those things, but you do open yourself up for poor reviews, right? The customer
yeah,
service element, the timeliness thing, it just starts to we'll put kinks in the armor, right? You
yeah,
go from having a strong situation to now all of a sudden you open yourself up to have that negative experience when normally you're not. And so if
yeah,
we can be preventative and proactive with the
yeah.
organization, with the planning, the strategizing, that seems to be an overall more efficient and effective way to maximize these days. What would you say was is there any deal, is there any promo that you ran that really stood out? And I'm gonna think about one for Cali, and if you can, is there anything else in these newer markets you just joined up in with New York or Jersey or Michigan and all those other newer places you guys you onboarded a couple in the last few months? And so what are some of the things that stood out to you in those areas, whether it be a deal or maybe a data point or an influx of traffic, or what are some of those things you saw the last few days?
Yeah, I mean, there's one part of the equation is what can get you free advertising, and if we're talking more Leafly, it's trying to expand your BOGOs as much as possible. The core to every promotion, the idea is how can we maximize the potential return per promotion.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're going to say, hey, we're going to do a BOGO off this single pre-roll, you have to think of what percentage of your customers are going to be interested in that pre-roll. And so you might be narrowing it down to, all right, of every eyeball we see on this, we're only going to get a max 10% conversion, because that's how many of the eyeballs
Yeah.
are likely to purchase this.
Infused pre-rolls versus full flower or whatever it is, right?
Yeah, yeah, and it's always great. Like if you have to, depending on the marketplaces, you might have an infinite number of deals that you can promote and advertise. Some marketplaces you have to spend per. So depending on if you have, okay, we're paying for one deal right now, so we have to maximize it as much as possible, or if we're on Leafly and you can just schedule as many as you'd like. You want to be cognizant of that. And so if it's something where you can schedule as many as you'd like, great. Throw out as many BOGOs bundles as you can that make sense for your business, and they'll work with the margins. Try to make it still not single items, but more brand plays or categories, focusing on, depending on your market, most likely it's going to be flowers, your number one category. And then following up with vapes. We have one client that vape has overtaken the number one category, and that's continued
Wow.
to grow. It's very interesting to see it play out. And then we have some pocket markets where edibles are the number one. So it all kind of depends. But at the end of the day, that's a great way to really maximize the number of deals and get free exposure. But if we're talking just what's the best converting promotion to offer out there, you do want to understand, let's say we do put out 30 different deals. Users aren't going to go through 30 deals, right?
No.
They're not going to take the time. They'll say, okay, I think I have an idea. Maybe do I see any that I really like? Like when I was working with Red Bull, they would always be title sponsors, right? And they have a main, something that you can really grasp and take home. And that's why they love to do title sponsorships and be the main name of an event. And you want to think of it the same way with cannabis. And when you're running promotions, it's how can we encapsulate what we're doing in as small space as possible. And so with that, and back to kind of every promotion, you want to be able to maximize what potential of customers are going to be interested in it. And so there's only one type of promotion that really works with all this in mind. That's just going to be a blanket percentage or dollar
Yeah.
amount off your promotion. Now, can you work with your brand partners and try to get better offerings leading up to 420 and then say, hey, we're going to be able to promote your brand as well and maximize the total amount of brands, products that are encapsulated within this discount? That's the ideal setup. But you really do. It's
Like a 40% on a 420, but both of you just eat 20% instead of one person eating 40s. More
that's
collaborative, for example.
that's an amazing scenario. The more 420s I experience in this industry, I think this might have been my 10th. 420, you can make money that day, but if we're really talking about what long-term success is like, you want to capture as many of those new customers and give
Yeah.
as many great experiences as you can on 420, because you're going to have such a big opportunity to bring in additional new business. And like you mentioned, if you can give them that great A1 experience every single time, right? You can turn that one day or a 3-day sales event of 420 and turn it into several years worth of value by
Right.
getting these new customers in through your doors. Give them that discount, give them something that you can separate and differentiate yourself from all the other retailers so that they pick you that day. Because let's not forget, like, this is the biggest day, 420 of the year. Green Wednesday actually is surprisingly huge, but you're going to have so many more eyeballs, so much more potential. Give them that good deal. Let your returning customers get that deal, that experience, because they're always going to be coming back, and let's give them incentive to come back. But now let's try to capture as much of the new customer market, share a voice as we can, get them through your doors, give them a great experience, let them really enjoy something great and a discount from your menu. And ideally they'll be coming back. And what we see in the data time and time again is that these customers from whatever referral source, whether it's, Weedmaps, Leafly, Yelp, Google, they are sticky customers.
Yeah.
They have the potential, if they're travelers, right? Yeah, they might not be as sticky, right? But that's totally fine. Those are one-offs. That's not where you make your long-term success anyways. What you really want is those people who can come back in through the doors. And if they're looking on one of these marketplaces or search engines for a business, they live in the area, they have potential to be a long-term customer. Just because they use these marketplaces doesn't mean that they're not coming back. And when we look at the data, we see that they are just as sticky. So give them a great experience, give them that blanket discount, maximize it as much as you can. As you said, try to work with your vendors and partners so you can both eat the cost a little bit, give them extra promotion, get you more sales and visibility, and turn it into just a great event. But something that you touched on real quick, people want to come in, they want to buy the weed, they want to get out. This is the biggest kind of miss I see retailers make year in, year out, is they make it about the experience at the store. And that's not what people are there for. And if
Mm.
you turn your advertising and awareness into, here's this extravaganza that's going on, you're going to see lower sales than you would have expected. You need to make it about the promotions. People, a lot of retailers don't want to admit it or say that, but if you really do focus on, you can theme it up,
Man, nothing pisses me off more than a big party with a big ass line outside of it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Why do I want to go? I
exactly.
want to go wait in line for the grocery store to get in. Are you
No.
kidding me? Absolutely not.
Ex- exactly. And that's the first thing users think about when they say, oh, you're having this huge event, so everyone's going to be, they just think of the line. That's the first thing you said. They think of the line, they think of the time.
Oh, now
That's
I got to be
not,
there at a specific time. I got to work my day around this. Like, no,
yeah,
man. The majority of people where the money's made is not doing that.
no, make it about the offering, make it about just having a great day, a great deal, and we'll get you in, we'll get you out. And so you can go
You
do
know
what
what a
you want
great
to do.
ad sounds like? You know, this is what I think about, Kevin. The importance of copy here and speaking to your
Yeah.
audience. Great deal, great audience copy, and
Yeah.
you're communicating exactly what you want to the people who are
Yep.
looking for that. So, returning
Yep.
customer, great deal to create. First time
Yep.
customer, great deal to create. Just celebrating 420, with your friends. Another good version of copy and ad creative
Yeah.
to ideate, right? Or to ideate. And so it's like, create ads and work and put a little bit of energy into creating these offerings, right? That speak to the people and incorporate a blanket discount. Everybody loves a good blanket discount. For sure, I'm good. You're telling
It
me
works.
I'm not going to pay attention to a liquidation sale at Best Buy where all of the Apple sits on sale? Are you kidding me? Like,
No.
we're all going to look at it if there's big
Yeah.
signs that say 50% off, clearance, 420 specials, like all this. What is going to turn
Yeah.
me away is big lines. And so I
Yep.
even went so far. One of my, I think I told you this back. We had this year long, my very first in the industry,
Yeah.
420 Black Friday. Wasn't even the crazy experience we had. We did an anniversary party modeled after a 420 and a Black Friday. We turned it into a week, different
Yeah.
deals, different blankets, different things. We speak to different audiences. And you know what we did when the line got crazy because all the deals were so popping?
Hmm.
We communicated that we would take their orders in during the peak hours. We went and took their orders by hand using golf pencils and post and cards. Right, we sent them
Yeah.
to the dollar store to get postcards,
Yeah.
and we started writing the orders down by hand. Imagine how special someone feels knowing that they can only get off work on a Monday or whatever usual holidays at whatever time, or their families up, and they're going to have to go wait in line during these peak times and not going to get taken care of. They're going to be there for 45
No.
minutes. That's whack.
Yeah.
We should be figuring out ways to solve these problems, communicate it, and Leafly with tons of deals, Weedmaps with a variety of things. It's all great places. I saw a variety of there's a lot of apps or a lot of dispensaries are using their own apps now.
Yeah.
Um, they're getting them off of Weedmaps. They're using Weedmaps as almost like a pond or a lake that's stocked with fish, and they're
Sure.
putting
Yeah.
the right types of bait and funneling it to capture their data. And I cannot
Yeah.
express how valuable that kind of mindset is, folks. You go from
Yes.
renting long term to now you're renting to own if you
Yeah.
do it right. And that's
Yeah.
the smartest way if that's the only option you have, which when you're starting a dispensary, you need Weedmaps, you need Leafly, you need Google. That's just the
Yeah.
reality, right?
Yeah. And I think that's the right I mean, that is the right mentality to have. Like you don't want to alienate these marketplaces and have that mentality, oh, I'm just renting the users, so let's not do it. Right. No, it's how do we leverage this and get them into our system so we can have access to this pond full of potential, bring them into our own ecosystem and keep them in long term. And yeah, that all happens. It all starts on the marketplace, right? But then it's all
Mhm.
about the long tail. It's all about making sure you have all the steps and processes in place so that you can get them from these marketplaces into your store, a great experience, and then get them into your system from there. But I agree 100%. That needs to be the mentality.
We're going to wrap it up here on 420 and transition to the next part of this because we've got other holidays and other summer things to talk about briefly. Last question for the 420 side of it. What separated the retailers and brands that won 420 versus the ones that didn't, in your opinion?
Yeah, I mean, I hate to just talk about the same thing over and over, but it's the promotions, right? It's how you differentiated your promotions and did you give them the right type of promotions, the right type of deals? Like it's
Boom.
very simple. If you spent your entire time. Like, I'm sure you had extra eyeballs. And if you were the ones who were out there and saying, here's a million things that are going in deals and they don't necessarily work on these platforms, they didn't have a great 420. But it was the ones that kept it simple, that kept the creatives very clean. And so it was easy to draw towards, like, hey, this is a 420 event. It's a very easy to understand deal. Come get it. Right. And
Simple enough.
yeah, my favorite, just like real quick, my favorite stat to share with people that I learned back in the day is after 16 words, comprehension rate drops below 50%
Wow.
in advertising. So just think about that. Like, how
God, and some of those
16,
flyers from some of these groups in Cali with 57 locations, they love text. So much
they,
text.
you see these deals that are like, it's 16 by 9 with 30 different deals on them. And I would love to hear if they find anyone who's like, oh yeah, I read about all these different deals, and you might get a few, right? But it's going to be a very small percentage. And you have to understand that you're in a location that has all of your competitors, right? And they're going to
Yeah.
be looking through all their options. That's why users use these marketplaces, because they want to be able to look through all their options in a very easy manner and quick manner. It's all about ease of access. It's all about quickness.
Now, we are 11 days from 420. The drop off is done. People are back to normal, the regular world. Let's be real,
Yeah.
420 is not a mainstream holiday just because it got on Jimmy Kimmel and CBS and Good Morning America mentioned it. It's not a mainstream holiday for everybody. It's a niche holiday. Um,
Sure.
and so, but in cannabis, it's one of the biggest. Green Friday or Green Wednesday, one of the biggest. Black
Yeah.
Friday, another one. All
Yeah.
there's a variety of instances where all that
Yeah.
proves to be like a lot of sales happen.
Mhm.
Cinco de Mayo is 4 days away. It's a little bit. It can be hard for groups that don't have strong bandwidth or strong digital comprehension or advertising comprehension to immediately pivot. But
Yeah.
is it smart to keep what you had running and just pivot it to the next holiday, or do you craft new brands, new deals? Because Cinco de Mayo historically is a Hispanic or Latin holiday. I put my thing in that because if you ask certain people, they don't celebrate it at all, and they're going to
Mhm.
be Latino and Hispanic. But if you ask certain Caucasian people, they're gonna be like, "Yeah, I celebrate Taco Tuesday every week. Cinco de Mayo, let's get lit, right?" So it's
Yeah.
like, how do we navigate that? How do we remove some bias? What can you do to kind of provide some clarity on maybe what someone should do? Should they take advantage of it? Should they not? What are your thoughts here?
I think every holiday you want to keep your content fresh. I mean, I think every holiday update your theme, right? And make sure that the users can understand instantaneously, like, what they're looking at right now is for this weekend. Because again, online users have lost a lot of faith in what they're viewing is actually live and up to date.
Mm-hmm.
So if you can just tweak your theme and just make it about this current promotion, I
Yeah,
think you'll immediately have their full attention. They'll actually give you a second look at what's actually going on.
that's
Do you need to?
important. That's important.
It is, yeah. It's a very minor thing, and that's where I think a lot of people have difficulty with, because it's like, I'm supposed to update my entire theme for this. Well, yeah, that's the best way that you can really let the users know instantaneously, like, this is something that's up to date and fresh. Now, do you need to update your deal? I think I think you need to keep your deal promotions as simple as possible. I think it's great to run, like, let's run a five pre-roll, like five bundle type deals.
It's
It's
a
great.
party day. It's a social day. In theory, we should be
Yeah.
selling more or pushing packs in bulk. In theory.
Yeah, yeah, and I always love promoting pre-rolls, especially on a social holiday like this where you can share with all your friends. I think that's always a great idea, to have special promotions unique for that holiday. It's something that also there's a buzz effect with it, and that's another thing. Like, I love, correlating the things I learned over at Red Bull into this cannabis industry, but they're huge on buzz marketing, right? And so anytime you can create an event or promotion or something that creates a buzz, and one impression turns into 10 impressions instead of one impression stays at one. Special types of promotions where they're fun, they're creative, they're going to have someone who learns about it tell their friend about it. And referrals are the most profitable. Word of mouth referrals are the most profitable referral in any business, right? So anytime you can leverage that as well, I think it's very smart to get creative with those deals. But generally speaking, again, back to your title promotion, make it very simple, clear, biggest part of the pie as possible. Um, and so you can really keep it relatively simple and consistent with your deals, other than just trying to do some unique tweaks per
Yeah.
day, but make sure the theme is updated. And then something specifically like Cinco de Mayo, like I'm in Fresno right now. It's going to be a huge Cinco de Mayo for us. But I have some other clients in other states where it's not going to be a big holiday for them, so they're not going to put too much into it. I love to always push, once 420 is over, we have so many people fall off. Really emphasizing summer and into the summer is such an important thing because so many people just like to relax right after 420. And Cinco de Mayo, like all these holidays, are always great to make sure you're at the forefront, have updated themes, creative promotions, but make sure you realize like everyone's getting out of school, everyone's more out and about with summer coming along, and a lot of people just tend to die off on their advertising during the summer for whatever reason. That's a
I
great
think that's a terrible spring is ending. We're getting into summer. Spring clean blows shit out.
yeah.
Strategic partners, consistent themed ads, copy. It can stay if you build it once, you can change the templates now
Mhm.
and do the colors and theme it and
Yeah.
ask ChatGPT for just inspo or Google Gemini for inspo and just speed it up a little bit, right?
Yeah.
Call Kevin Sparks and his squad
Yeah.
to help, right? There's another way to solve the problem, but I mean, this spring summer sale, it's not like you have to reinvent the whole thing, but you should, if you're running five, let's just say you're running 5 to 10 promotions, there should be stuff that you keep around that speaks all the time to people, and there should be stuff that
Mhm.
we kind of optimize and adapt based on these holidays and weekends and things like that.
Yeah.
And also too, new vendors, new promotions, and if your buyer and marketing is
Mhm.
creative and also in sync, there's an opportunity to work with certain vendors. If you live
Yeah.
in an area that has a higher demographic of a certain group of culture or people or whatever word you want to describe a group of people that are similar, like speak to that audience. It's okay. Or if you're in one of those areas and
Mhm.
maybe it's not so effective, like what you're saying, maybe it's something over in wherever else. Maybe it's not as diverse in that for that holiday. Some would say, it is an opportunity for you to build and grow, but maybe not dump all your eggs into that basket and kind of
Yeah.
burn through some capital in that regard, right?
Yeah. And even if it's not a huge holiday for you, like I think tying back into giving users some foundation to understand that what they're looking at is up to date, is fresh, and is special for today, it's always an easy win. And to your point, if you can build a system to where you don't have to reinvent the wheel every time, you can
Mm-hmm.
have your team in place, you know, whether it's us helping out with the marketplaces, but you can have your designers, your templates, you have all your I know with our designers, we've spent a lot of time just figuring out how we can access all the backgrounds we need, all the elements we need, all the different templates, and then we templatize everything and make it scalable. And once you really have all those pieces in place, it makes it really easy for you to
Yeah.
just move and maneuver consistently as the tides turn. And I think if you can just stay on top of everything like that, have that good system and a good team in place, you can really just continue to take advantage of these holidays, whether they're super, impactful for you or just little bumps. But then you could take advantage. You really just want to maximize your conversions as much as possible.
People got to understand, Kevin, that you said it. Kids are getting out. Excuse me. The traveling, the tourism, the hey, it's Thursday, we're gonna go hiking. That's okay. We got to stop on the way and get this. But me, telling my mom left me in a parking lot outside a liquor store so she could go buy whatever she needed for the canoe trip with all of her friends we were going on. Like that's
Hmm.
normal, right? Like think about
Yeah.
it. In Michigan, they're gonna go be outside the next they've well, it's been nicer the last few months. They're gonna go be outside in New York and Jersey and all these places. Like the weather's getting
Yeah.
warm. I'm in Costa Rica. There's weed here too. It's getting warm. It's nice out in these
Yeah.
places, right? People
Yep.
are going to be more active. And so to speak to that active audience is huge. It goes back to the demographics and segmentation and truly knowing your audience. And I use this phrase, you got to get ahead of it. You guys got to be proactive
Hmm.
and preventative. My first experience in cannabis, we went to Sephora and Ulta, and the way that the managers described how they treat people it was preventative and proactive recommendations. They would
Yeah.
say, oh yeah, so you're gonna use this. You're here for this. Cool. You do this. Oh, by the way, using this means you might care about this. Oh yeah, I also care about that. Oh, you're right. I smoke flower. I do need some pre rolls. It's gonna be nice outside. Am I going on the boat? I might need something on the boat, so I don't have to
Yeah.
bring all my stuff. Right. You start having a conversation. You start becoming a little bit more proactive on your uses and what you're going to use it for, where you're going to go, what you might need product wise. And we got to think, Kevin. There's some of these categories that are not so popular. I imagine tinctures and topicals aren't exactly crushing it on the 420 when it's all about Cheech and Chong and getting buzz and all this crazy stuff, right? Cinco
Yeah.
de Mayo, that's a day dedicated to Corona, Modelo's, and American culture. That's not even a real Mexican thing for the most part. And so we think about how we can ultimately speak to these audiences better. And I wanted to ask you this next question, which is about um, what categories are typically heat up as we get into the spring and summer? I'd imagine beverages and smokables. Vapes, you already said, some of the cases they took over number one.
Yeah.
And edibles in another instance took over number one. Are those the big four? Or is that the starting five and people should be dumping their energy into getting those products, those offerings in front of the right people?
Yeah. My opinion, the big three is, flower and vapes are the big two, right? Especially with the growth of vapes. We have a couple clients who still maintain about 60% of sales through flower, but for the most part, we're finding, 60 to 80% of total sales are going to be between your flower and vape. So it's something you always want to focus on. Yeah, especially in summer, you'll see I haven't really seen any specific category necessarily grow dependent on the time of the year. I'm sure there's some variability to it that I just haven't picked up on yet.
Yeah.
But what you said was really interesting about the in-store experience. And I learned a lot about this in my time at GNC, but building the basket and you're training your team, like how can you expand the purchase and buying behavior of the customers once they enter into the storefront? I think that's where the biggest opportunity for a lot of these retailers lies. Most of the times when we tap into data, we'll see the average units per transaction is about two, maybe 2.5. I think a healthy average is 2.5 units per transaction. And the employee's goal, the bud tender's goal, once they have a customer come in through the doors, is how can you get that to 3 plus? And I think the biggest opportunities usually are going to be the add-ons. Of course, there's logo opportunities that are always tried and true. But those you tend to get someone to buy a second of what they're already going to purchase. That might not get them back to your doors quickly. That might just cut the repeat purchase time in half or double it. And so they come back twice as slow. But the real opportunity is how can we get you to add on pre rolls is my favorite addition. That's the easiest thing to add on to a purchase. It's a high profit margin item. It's very easy for people to add on for $10 to $20. It's a very social product, so you're more likely to get a referral from that because they're more inclined to share that with a friend.
Yeah,
If
COVID, we're not sharing drinks.
go, yeah,
We'll share pre rolls, but we won't share drinks for some reason.
is that how it is now? The drinks?
I've noticed it. I mean, I never really share drinks with other
I
people.
never
You know
really
what I
was
mean? But
either.
pre
Yeah,
rolls, I've been sharing pre rolls with people for years. I never. I
Jo-
didn't,
yeah. Joints like joints. Blunts, pre rolls. Those are screaming to me for Cinco de Mayo events, right? People are going to
yeah,
be social, drinking their beers and passing around a joint, passing around a blunt,
yeah,
and I think so. Pre rolls are that's the best thing, as well as edibles. Edibles are very easy to add on. Um, I miss back in the day when it was a lot easier to have that brownie added to the cart for $5. It's really hard to find those types of
yeah. Those
edible
price points are
offerings.
gone now for that.
Yeah, man,
Now
those,
now in Cali, Kevin, you get the 100 milligram gummy bars. That's what
yeah,
that's the
yeah,
promo now.
yeah, the 5 milligrams per. I saw a post from who is it? But they had I want to say it was like the black bar, 1,000 milligram.
Oh
Was it
yeah, Corova used
Nirvana?
to have that.
Corova.
Yeah, yeah.
That's right. And they were like, I think it was like April Fool's joke or post or something like
Bringing
that.
it back. That's crazy, dude.
Those are great, but edibles, pre rolls. I think that's the one of the most important things to think about when people walk in through the door, and it's something even online on marketplaces. It's something that we try to work into the system, and what we'll do is we'll monitor the highest sold unit products. So sometimes it might be a wild gummy, but we'll find stuff that sells the most units and make sure to feature those products, because one, then you can get them to add something to the cart early and often. That increases the conversion potential. And then also it's just something where you'll be able to, these are the type of add-ons where if you get someone to buy these things that they didn't come in for, they're going to come back at the exact same frequency. So if they were going to come back in 2 weeks, you get them to buy a few extra pre-rolls, they're still going to come back in 2 weeks. So you're not reducing your margins by any means or reducing the amount of transactions they're to come back for. If anything, you're improving it or keeping it the same, but now you've added more to the basket, you've added more revenue to the bottom line. And you probably get some extra referrals out of it because it's something that's a very social product.
Love the varieties of edibles that exist and all the pre-roll types. There's so many different types of vapes now. I mean, there's a lot of potential promotion and offerings. You said the goal is of budtenders to get it to the 3+ products. God, wouldn't it be nice there in Fresno if every time you bought something you were smoking or vaping, if they just politely offered you a drink? Like, it's that easy,
Right.
guys. It's not hard.
Right.
And
Yeah.
you're not even upselling or forcing me on, oh, I don't want to sell anything I haven't tried. Like, yo, can you please just offer me a beverage? It's 114 degrees outside, Fresno, Bakersfield, Valley. Like, come on, IE. Like, come on, man. Like, let's improve the customer service
Yep.
and be committed to that
Yep.
instead of some leadership driven bias about, oh, I wanted to keep it cannabis authentic. No, man, these people are coming in to buy stuff. We are relying on your staff to make insightful recommendations, and hopefully they're friendly enough and good enough at communication that they can get a little bit of extra conversation out of me to keep learning about me, to keep me coming back, right? To keep driving a positive experience.
Yeah, and it's so easy to order something online now. I think what you're going to find is most of the people who want to have that bud tender experience are there to learn. They're having that in-store experience because they're not 100% certain about what they want to purchase. If you knew exactly what you wanted to buy, you'd be ordering it online, you'd be having it delivered. And I think that's part of the the customer life cycle in cannabis, right? Is they tend to start in store and they work their way out. And so if you are having those people that are in store, take advantage of that, educate them, offer them more products that you think would be beneficial to them. Ask them that question. Yeah, as a bud tender, you want to get them in and out as fast as possible, so you're not increasing the time to purchase for other customers. But it's just a couple quick questions, figure out what they're there for, and I'm sure there's some great opportunities for you to upsell them.
Hey, what brings you in today? Cool. Let me grab that for you real quick. Is there anything else you've been thinking about, or any other things you want to know real quick? Oh,
Yeah.
no, cool. Okay, cool. Yeah. Oh, great. Well, hey, would you like one of these? This is new, or maybe you're going to be thirsty because it's hot outside. Those three touch points for me are so quick, so easy, and it drives me nuts everywhere I go that it never happens. It's funny because I can call and place a pickup order for pizza right now. Right. And they're going to do a better job of trying to sell me whatever else they got than almost every dispensary, whether it's, oh, sorry, I can't talk about it over the phone. Tired of hearing that. Tell me about what I should go look at on my website, on your website then, so I can buy it. Don't just shut me down on the phone. Right. In store. Hey, what brings you in today? Cool. Indica sativa hybrid. Great. Cool. Anything else? All right, cool. Ring, 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 ring. Bye. Like, come on, man. The point of sales are making recommendations. You know what? Also, too, I want to just shout this out. I love bud tenders, but do you know what drives me? Who drives me the most nuts in cannabis? Managers of bud tenders, because they're glorified, they get egos, and they stop helping other people win. That statement does not apply to everyone. So if you feel some kind of way about it, go look in the mirror and continue to improve on yourself and your team, because the numbers can always get better, folks. Always improve, continue to improve, and ultimately, too, lose the ego about it, because you're supposed to be there helping customers. You know what this is here, Kevin? Anybody can say whatever they want about, oh, you're industry, you're this or that. Tell that to this and my 17 times with kidney stones, okay? Tell that, because I'm using this to go buy product for my mom, too, who's also sick. So I'm tired of all the excuses from retailers, bud tenders, managers about, oh, no, your industry, you're too picky. No, you know what? We have a right to do that, and it's your guys' job at the retail level to start delivering a better level of customer service using data and being cohesive with your marketing. I'm also sick of going online on websites I tried ordering a bunch of. I sent my uncle to a dispensary in Santa Cruz the other day. I'm on FaceTime with him. Guy straight up says they don't have what we're asking for, and I'm on their menu, right on their
Yeah.
website, which is integrated. So it's like, don't speak before you've really done the thorough looking. Always double check
Yeah.
and go ask. We will leave your dispensary and go immediately buy that shit somewhere else if you tell me you don't have it and your
Yep.
website says you do. You
Yeah.
we have to have cohesion. It has to be fluid. Kevin, before we get you out of here, I want to give you the floor to chat about what dispensaries should do in your opinion the rest of May. We've got 2 holidays, Cinco de Mayo, we've got Memorial Weekend. We get into June, it gets a little bit. The summer starts fully ramping up. If someone were to maximize and get their shit going for this month, what are some of your immediate tips and recommendations to capitalize on the month of May and the first half of June as we get into that?
Yeah. I mean, we've touched on
Promotions. I know your word is promotions. I know that. I know
It's
that.
not everything on the marketplace, because I know that's already a big narrative, and I don't want to turn it into like, see, it's all just about deals, because it's not, right. But
it is if you're trying to acquire customers off of those marketplaces. Then it is. It's about using the right bait to get them off, right? And that's a key. That's a key tool.
it's a key tool. It's so valuable to make sure that you're offering the right type of promotions day in, day out. But you want to just make sure your branding, your themes, everything is on point. Everything matches from the marketplace to your website to your in-store branding. You want to make sure that, I mean, you're putting the time into the graphics and the creatives as well. So it's not just something so generic and templated. Like, the more effort we put into creatives, the cooler they are, the more targeted for the specific demographic of that area, the better results we always see. But I think time and time again, right now, if there was one thing I can really push out into the world that everyone needs to be aware of and work on, and this isn't how necessarily you can grow your sales on these marketplaces, but how to understand the true value from them so you can make the right decisions moving forward.
Mm-hmm.
Because time and time again, I've seen this mistake, and I see people talking about it online all the time, where the value isn't there when it truly is. And what you need to do is be asking your customers, how did you hear about us today? And you need to work
Oh,
with the
wow.
front desk. And I think this is one thing we quickly touched on, but the staff, everyone needs to understand the value of recording this and monitoring this, and understanding that we are here to help people. This is an industry that was built off helping one another. But we also work in an industry where the profit margins are very, very slim, and you need to fight to stay in business every single day. So people need to be aware that we do need to make sure that you're profitable, you're driving in sales, you're understanding your business, where the money is coming in. And if you can work with the front desk to be making sure that everyone is being asked, how did you hear about us today? Retroactively going through your system. And if you see a returning customer who doesn't have that tag associated in the system yet, try to get that out of them as well. Make sure you're recording this because there is no better way. Like, let's say, we don't have to be talking about Weedmaps Leafly here. It could be a billboard, it could be Google, it could be any referral source. But if you're not asking them, and they come from the billboard, or they come from Google or Weedmaps, and the user doesn't place an order somehow on the digital platform, and they walk directly into your store after seeing it on there, it never happened. There's no way to track these people. And in a world, we still live in a brick and mortar retail world, right? The vast majority of your sales are happening in store. Some people have 10, 15, 20, 30% online sales. That's still a small percentage of your sales in comparison. So if you're going to live in that retail brick and mortar world, you better be trying to figure out what's driving in these customers.
Got to
Because
understand the people. Got to understand the
yeah,
community, Kevin. That's what I'm really understanding. For anybody to truly be successful there, they had to have done research into the real estate, and they thought it was a good idea at some point just for that, right? But what
yeah,
other additional layers made it such a great idea? And how do we
yeah,
mitigate that risk and increase the likelihood, mitigate the risk of it not being a good idea, and increase the likelihood of it being a wonderful, great idea that continues to grow? Because even
yeah.
small towns, referrals, then other, then the travelers come through. And I want to go back to the importance of copy. Hello, ma'am. Hello, sir. Thank you for coming. What actually brought you to come here today? That's so
Mhm.
different than how did you hear about us?
Yeah.
Just want to say that. Okay.
Yeah.
because understanding people and how they made the decision, the psychology of people, is how all of your staff, all of your
Mhm.
revenues, all of your brand relationships are all going to continue to improve over time. As you get more
Yeah.
data, as you have more meetings about that data, as we talk to partners, as you take audits, which, by the way, everybody, this episode is brought to you guys by SparksCan. Take your free audit with Kevin and his team to learn about what you might be missing out on and how to tighten up. And it's as simple as that. Are you guys doing that? Yes or no? Do it. Work it in.
Do it.
Here's the script. Just start it. Make sure it happens. Kevin, have a meeting before the shift. Start all shit.
Yeah.
Require everybody to be there 15 minutes before.
Yeah.
You will get more money out of it if they're there and they're prepared. That they're prepared to work as a team. And so,
You
as
will.
always, Kevin, man, it's been a pleasure to chat with you. It's so funny
Thank
because
you.
I this is something that I'm very passionate about, and I get frustrated on LinkedIn hearing all these complaints, and I go online and I shop where I shop, and then it's like, oh my god, why is this worse? Why is this experience worse than like Little Caesars pizza at this point? You know what I mean? But then
Yeah.
again, Little Caesars is big dogs, and they put time and energy into figuring things out, just like anybody else should. And so, Kevin, I appreciate you again. For everybody watching, this was the 4th official episode of the Cannabis Retail Podcast, brought to you guys by Sparks. I want you guys to make sure you visit SparksCan with two N's, .com, SparksCan.com to go. You guys can reach out to Kevin. You can also reach out to him. It's Kevin@SparksCan.com. Super easy for his email. If you guys can reach out to me if you have any questions. I'm happy to run my mouth, but I think it would be better served if it came from Kevin. So that way he can tell you guys the specific things you guys should and shouldn't be doing on Weedmaps, Leafly, even his experience with Google, working with these other major brands like GNC, a true brick and mortar, Red Bull, who serves millions of brick and mortars. This experience is invaluable, folks. And so don't get lost in the sauce of thinking, I'm the best, my team kills it. We don't need this, because I'm sure the owners of whatever retailer you're thinking that you have a great job at right now, they are going to always want more. And they're always going to want to scale and scale and scale, grow, whether it's for their house or their family or their college, or even just being able to hire another helper for the first time. There's always all these different reasons. So I implore everybody watching, if you're a cannabis marketer, if you're a cannabis retailer, if you're a brand, even as brands, Kevin, you work with brands. You're able to help brands perform better with their retail partners across the country.
Yep.
You help them go from being like this and kind of butting heads with communication, and they're not ordering frequently enough. They're not talking. They're not getting back. They're not paying their bills. Well, do you know what an extra excuse for communication is when you have a marketing ecosystem that can truly support and drive revenue? And it's not just about sticking somebody at a table. It's a whole different type of impact, a whole different way to communicate. And so, Kevin, appreciate you again for being on the show, man. It's been a pleasure, as always. Everybody, episode 4, make sure you guys like, follow, subscribe, talk shit about me, but learn marketing from Kevin and the Sparks team, and we'll catch you on the next one.